Welcome to Faith Meets Fate, where we explore connection and meaning through the stars.
Hi, welcome to Faith Meets Fate. I'm Bianca Celine here with Mindy DeGraffenreid and Ryan Hunt. So today we got together and we are going to be grilling Ryan on his trip to NORWAC. I'm really excited to hear your key takeaways on that, Ryan. What do you have for us? I'm dying to hear the updates.
Yeah, it was a very busy, packed, full weekend for sure. I volunteer there, and I think this is my 4th or 5th year that I volunteered. I'd have to go back and look at my records. And I do the Zoom hosting, so I'm in the rooms with the speakers and the people, the attendees that are there in person, as well as the online people. And I shuttle the questions between the online people and the speaker and vice versa, and kind of manage the chat inside. So that's kind of like my role. And because of that, I start with the first lecture and go all the way to the very end, and hardly any breaks in between, because I have to be there 15 minutes to set up for each thing, usually about 20. And so, yeah, I don't get like all the breaks.
Ryan, do you know how they have kind of the little breakouts that are discussions with the astrologers? Do you also run those? So you literally don't have a break?
I didn't have to run any of those this time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure who's running those, but I wasn't assigned to any of them. Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately, yeah, because I mean, if I'd had to do those both, I mean, people that do that probably do them in a separate, like it might be a separate assignment, but yeah, I didn't have to do any of those. So,
okay.
Yeah, but it's a full day for me, so like I'll wake up at, I'll try to sleep until 7, good sleep for NORWAC, and get up and get after it and be in by, what's that?
I was like, asleep in till 7.
Yeah.
Asleep in is not asleep
Right.
in.
I know, right? And then get up and
Party late.
I'll be going straight till like the keynotes end at like 9, the evening keynote. Right.
Yeah.
And then
there's usually an event, right? After that.
There's parties after that, and even if there wasn't parties, everybody gathers in the lobby, in the bar, in the lobby, and talks, so it's like, basically it's like from 7 a.m. till 1 a.m. every day, like nonstop talking or information processing. So it's a lot, but it is fun, and you get to see people that you haven't seen for a year, and it's fun to reconnect. And everybody's so, friendly and, liking to connect with other people, that it's a very fun kind of experience,
Do you feel like you're able to actually learn very much as in that role? Do you feel like the information is kind of in and out, 1 ear out the other, because you're having to just process so much with other people?
More in and out than actual retention, but I do get to retain information, pretty well. I mean, not like, the more active the technical work has to be, the less information I can retain, for sure. But I also get, as a volunteer, I get access to the videos for a little bit longer than the regular attendees, so I can go back and rewatch stuff. And yeah, it's good. I enjoy it because I like not having to pick and kind of like, just, oh, look at this, I never would have selected this topic. Now I get to learn about it, right?
Was there anything that was just like standout unusual for you this year?
I want to say, I mean, there were so many good talks and so many good lectures. And so it's not to like take away from anybody's thing, but I have to say that Colin Bedell rocked it as MC, and his keynote was just, spectacular. It was totally spectacular. Like, just, it was charged, engaging. It was, informative. It was filled with the zeitgeist. It was You know, it was emotional. I mean, it was all the things, you know. So I would say Collins knocked kind of like my socks off in a way. And again, not to put down anybody else's, because everybody else did great, but it was just like amazing. Collins was. Adam's keynote was also really incredible for very different kinds of ways. You know, his was a very deeply emotionally connective, you know, experience. He was, you know, really giving a lot of heart in his, which was super wonderful. And then Sam's keynote didn't have the charge that either Collins or Adams had from like an emotional standpoint or connecting to the zeitgeist of things from that standpoint, but it was like so spot on, Sam's, and so directed towards the, you know, the actual needs of our social structures and our socioeconomic infrastructure. And it was just so like relevant and timely. So Sam's
what was his topic specifically? What was Sam's?
Yeah, so Sam's was he was talking about the March on Washington and how he was going through the astrological significations of the March on Washington in the late 60s, right, with Martin Luther King Jr. And he talked a lot about the historical context of that and about women in the movement for civil rights and how that like was reflected in the zeitgeist of that time, and how the astrological connectivity of that moment reaches into this coming August as a similar, you know, there were similar astrological configurations at play. And I'm not going to dive into those because it would mean bringing up the chart and walking through them. Otherwise it would just like it would make a lot of sense, but it was really powerful, you know, and to like look and say, look, yeah, if we go back in time to see what was going on then, and we then, you know, come forward into August and we can see the astrological significations that are, you know, at play, you know, there is something that is threading through our society and our culture, and we need to pay attention to this. And how do we as astrologers, how do we as a community of individuals and people work to, you know, influence and act on a way that will, you know, bring equality, bring justice, bring a mindset of liberty into the zeitgeist, as opposed to the polarity that, you know, really takes place. I mean, that the polarity was so strong back in that time too. I mean, it resulted in assassinations, you know, and like you know, so there is something about this polarity that takes place. And, you know, how do we then take that to a level where we can be, you know, engaged with it not specifically calling us out to be activists, but kind of in a way saying, look, you know, as astrologers, we can be active in our understanding of what's going on in the world, you know, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a powerful talk for sure. Yeah,
it reminds me a little bit, you know, kind of reminiscent of Cosmos and Psyche, right? Like the way that Richard Tarnas has covered so much of history and being able to make comparisons and kind of find our place within that space. But it does bring up the topic of fate and free will again, you know, a little bit of like, do we outrun it just because we can see it? Or, you know, is there something that we can do differently to change the narrative? I don't know.
Yeah. As a side note, you know, we'll come back to NORWAC in just a second, but as a side note to that, one of the things that I've been working on is I had this like just fun idea of like, how do we find the significations of somebody being a jerk or an a-hole, right?
Wow.
Just to kind of have fun with it, right?
There'd be unlimited amount of significations.
There's a limited amount. And so then it was kind of like, okay, every planet and every aspect can do this. So then I was like down to the thing, okay, so being the jerk or being the a-hole is kind of like the shadow side of the significations. Mm-hmm. And so then, okay, well, we have light side of the same aspect, you know, so you can look at like a planet in detriment as maybe signifying that, but then you can also get light aspects, you know, light significations, you know, light, not in terms of the weight, but light in terms of light illumination, soul, spirit, right? So, okay, well, if each planet, even if it's in a bad placement, has both shadow and light, then that's where the free will must be,
Yeah.
right? Is being able to say, okay, yeah, I have the significations in my chart for this. Here's the shadow and light. And, you know, maybe free will is I get to choose whether I pursue the dark side of the force or the light side of the force, you know.
Right, along the
Yeah.
axis, right? Do I want,
Yeah.
I know I want a glass of water. Do I want it ice water or do I want it lukewarm? Like,
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Something
Yeah.
like
I would love
yeah.
to put a pin in that topic.
Yeah.
I would love
Yeah.
to do a whole thing
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
both sides of those delineations, because I think we even experienced that with the horror, you know, when we've
Right.
talked about
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jupiter exalted and Cancer and all of us going, "What?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a storm, like, what are we talking about?" You know, but I think there's a
Right.
lot of juicy stuff in there if we wanted
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
been, it's so interesting you brought that up, just even with Sam's keynote, and then we're talking about this, the polarity, light side, shadow side. And what's been on my mind lately is I've started reading, and this is kind of like the darker side to things, but I started reading Suicide in the Soul by James Hillman.
Okay.
And
We'll do a book review on that then.
Yeah. Put
But
that on the list too.
but I'm only 3 chapters in, so but he's raised some things where I'm like, he's brought in like the Roman law and like Christian, more so like religion and how it shapes society in the way we think, maybe more so Western, and the whole how it's been made illegal to end one's own life because the Ten Commandments says thou shalt not kill,
Mhm.
right? And it could be implied thou shalt not kill thyself, right? Thou shalt not kill. But then obviously there's other situations where we need to eat, so we kill animals. So there's certain situations where it's excused, right? But it was really interesting because James Hillman brings that in, and I haven't read enough of the book to fully understand where he's going with it. But I couldn't help but think he is trying to paint this picture of where society, where there is that thing where someone is grappling with, life or death, what do I do? And just from the beginning, like just from a general overview of my feelings or what I'm thinking, James is going with this is that, or Hillman, so is that he is leaning towards where society, like when there is like an ostracization of society or cut off from society, where there's that they lean towards this the darker side of life. But so I'm not making sense right now, but like I was thinking, okay, Pluto in Aquarius, more like the collective versus anything that hits Leo. Any planet that goes through Leo is going to hit that opposition to Pluto, and the collective Aquarian thing. So there's going to be that polarity between the collective versus the individual, the Leo, the I shine bright because I exist, So I'm thinking bringing in astrology into all of this is like, I'm seeing this as something in the zeitgeist where Pluto is shifting the collective through the Aquarian, Saturnian, airy, masculine domicile of Saturn, and then anything that goes through Leo is like going to highlight things of individuality and individual voices and uniqueness and all these things, and then like tying in the whole like James Hillman's Suicide and the Soul. And I know when that book was released because I've read, and I'm currently going through the 3 volumes of James Hillman's life. And I don't know if you guys know the books that have come out, but they're not that new. I mean, 2013, I think they were released. But the life and ideas of James Hillman, there are 3 volumes, and I'm currently through volume 2. But volume 1 went through James Hillman's upbringing, his background, his grandparents, where his parents came from, and then through his youth into adulthood, what brought him into like started like thinking about psychology in a certain way. And as it goes through his life, it also talks about, like, as it goes through and shares the experiences of his life, it talks about the books that he was working on and the background to why those books were at the forefront of his mind because of his lived experience. And so I know that the Suicide in the Soul, I think it was released in 1964 or around it's one of those earlier books, and it did get mixed reviews. I think it was very controversial, and I don't think it sat well with some of the professionals in the practicing psychology space. So I do know, like, I'm not saying it's like Bible, but I appreciate that he's bringing to light a taboo topic and bringing his own thoughts to that, because I do think that it's something that is not discussed enough, but it's something that people experience more often than not, so. And it's just like, there's what I have to say.
Yeah, I know, that's cool. That's
do
good.
thing on this in a later date once I've read through the whole book and gathered my thoughts.
Totally. Let's hear some
that'll
more
be
when
fun.
you do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of shifting topic back again. I was thinking, one of the workshops that I went to, because I got to go to 3 different workshops. And the last workshop I went to it was the post conference workshop, was with it was Cameron's workshop, and it was on secondary, tertiary, and quaternary progressions, and the triangulation of those 3 different progression levels into a single synthesis. And it was really cool. A very complicated kind of technique where, like, you have to even go back and you're adjusting the chart calculations using this seed number to make sure that the tropical year is aligning with the sidereal year. And so there's like some technical kinds of things, but apparently he worked with the creator of AstroSeek to get the ability to put the calculations into AstroSeek. So for me, that was like super interesting. And I was talking with Jen Zart, like out in the entrance area one night, and she was talking about it, and I didn't really kind of get it until I took the workshop, but she was talking about using it in a synastry context of being able to move converse and forward progressions of one person and their partner's lives, and finding when the planets synchronize. And I didn't really understand what that meant, but there are points in the different, because they're structured in a ratio, the way that you do the progressions is certain ratios, that because of those ratios, like somebody's secondary might line up with another person's tertiary, or their converse tertiary, or different things like that, or their quaternary lines up with their other person's tertiary. Really wild stuff, but it's like deep into like looking at timing techniques from like Time Lord, so it's a different kind of perfection, or zodiacal releasing, where you're dealing with periods of time to understand what's going on with those periods and what's happened. But what he was talking about was correlating the higher levels of those, like the quaternary, and even like he started doing some work on the quinary progressions. It's like taking those higher level things and analogizing those with the concept of spirit. And so the conversation between spirit and soul, the conversation between soul and matter. And so it was like describing how it was really cool. It was a really cool workshop. Yeah.
Wow.
So I would love to hear, I don't know if he gave any background, and how do you get there? How does that become your pet project?
Right.
It's the process of saying, this is what I'm going to focus on. And
well, yeah, I'm not sure how he picked it, but he was kind of talking about some of the techniques that were in a book that has been recently published by Jen from Revelor Press. So Jen runs Revelor Press, and he was talking about this book that was published and going over some of the details of it. So and he traced the origins. He talked about how, like historically going back for, 100, 150 years of going through this. So there was context, but yeah, I don't know how like you like pick out of all the topics that you want to study, how that becomes the one that you're going to become an expert in. Yeah.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Did you, because of your role, did you attend, I imagine, all of the different paths, you know? So if I were to go,
Yeah.
I would likely make sure that I'm, you know, looking at all the Hellenistic. I would, you know,
Oh,
I
right.
might take one or two because, you know, it's Stephen Forrest. Like, of course I'm going to go to that one, you know, or whatever.
Right.
But I imagine that you had a wider range because of the role you were playing. So you
It's
experienced
totally across the spectrum.
Uh-huh.
Hellenistic, evolutionary, transpersonal, you know, timing techniques. Yeah, just like it's because when they assign you to a room. And so it's just whatever comes into that room.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the rooms
So
aren't
different
tracked.
levels too, of like beginner to
From beginner all the way up to
just
Cameron's was like way super like advanced. Yeah.
yeah. So you experienced how it could be available to any level of astrologer, right? Like going to NORWAC is not special for advanced
No.
astrologers. Anybody
Absolutely. There were so many new people this year to NORWAC. There was a lot of new people that had never been to NORWAC. I mean, the crowd of new people was just amazing. And a lot of them, you know, just kind of new to astrology and just checking it out. So yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really solid beginner level classes. But even more than the classes, you know, the thing that I think is so valuable for me and for almost everybody that I talk to is not the classes, but it's the community and making the connections and finding people that are your tribe. Like, you know, there's so many people talk about the stories of like, oh my gosh, when I'm back home, I can't talk to anybody about this. And here I am, everybody I see I can talk to about it, right? So there's that kind of sense of feeling. And I'm going to be going to UAC for the first time this fall. But people that have gone to both talk about the difference between those, as NORWAC is much more community oriented like that. It's much more, we want to get to know each other. It's small enough that you can like meet a lot of people and remember people's names and see people passing in the hallway. And yeah, it's a very community oriented kind of experience, NORWAC. And I don't know how that is with UAC, but people that have gone in the past say it's much more, it just has the feeling of a larger conference. Like NORWAC has this feeling like it's almost not a conference, but not really a retreat. And it's like, you know, this kind of like space of like real people being really social and connective while still learning. Right. And I think from what I've heard about UAC, it's going to be more oriented towards learning. You might meet your people, but it might be a little bit harder to step outside your current circle and meet.
Right. It's a little more like, almost business feeling, right? Like
that's
UAC
the sense that people describe it. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Did you introduce yourself to each other by your rising sign and your sun?
It's on our name tags. Yeah. So you get your name tag and you put your sun, moon, rising on there. Yeah. So everybody can see your name and your sun, moon, rising. Strike up a conversation with you. And it's so funny. You'll see people, everybody walks up each other and like staring at their, you know, solar plexus, right?
Are you like, I'm up here?
Wait, I thought you were joking, Ryan. I didn't know it was for real.
They have these little tags you wear around your neck. It's got your name tag and it kind of like hangs down around your solar plexus area. And so, you know, it's like everybody's kind of like, you know, some people are like really more out about it and just like, oh, I want to see, or some people like casually glancing while you're talking. They'll be like, oh, you've got an Aquarius placement. Oh, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, Sagittarius. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's fun, you know?
Which I actually kind of don't love. I have not done that myself, but I have in a different conference where we did Strengths Finder, and so we had tagged with our top 5 strengths. Yeah. And really, you find everybody looking at your chest, not at your face. Yeah. And then there's like you aren't getting to know people just by natural interactions, like you're saying. There's almost this like preconceived, oh, you're a Leo sun, you must be.
Oh yeah, it's not like that there. It's not. No, that I never saw anything like that happen. It's
Good.
much more of a conversation piece. People
Yeah.
will be like, "Oh, you've got your placement. I've got mine. What's your story? Here's my story." And like, it's much more of a conversation piece.
Good.
It's like,
Good.
yeah, no, I didn't feel like people are there. Oh, look at that. They're a Scorpio. I'm not going to talk to them. It was never anything like that. I've got them dialed in. They've got the Scorpio moon. I'm never going to, I'll just like avoid them for the rest of the conference. There was nothing like that. Kind of.
What's up with Scorpio moons?
Yeah. What was that?
I'm like, what's up with Scorpio moons?
There's nothing up with Scorpio moon. It's a great moon. The Scorpio moon is the moon that the Buddha was enlightened under. Yeah, it's a great moon.
Yeah, it's a great moon.
Absolutely.
And Scorpio Venus.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Am I getting a sense here about Scorpio with somebody?
See, now we can't jump to conclusions. We need to hear the story why you say that. Because she's really not happy in Scorpio.
It's a lifelong pattern.
Indeed.
Same thing, different person.
All right. Yeah. How about you? Did you guys were on Mindy? I saw you on. You were on NORWAC, right?
I was not.
Oh, you weren't virtually?
I was last year.
Okay. Neither one of you went virtually to NORWAC. Okay. There was interestingly other Mindys and Biancas on the screen. I'm like, oh, I wonder if Mindy and Bianca are in there, but it was. I guess it wasn't you. I never reached out to you. I didn't reach out to the Mindy or Biancas that were on the chat, but I just like saw them. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was you guys, but I guess it was somebody else.
No. Yeah, you'll have to tell us like what are the top ones that we need to go back and watch the recording.
Yeah, well, those ones I just described at the top. For the workshop, I'd say if you're into really technical, Cameron's was great. Mark Jones had a really wonderful on astrological psychosynthesis, which was really, really fascinating, really wonderful. Every time I see Mark Jones, I'm like, man, I really want to try to connect with that guy more and take some of his classes. So Mark Jones's workshop, if you buy a workshop, was really good. Adam's workshop was really good. I mean, we're all in Adam's program, so that might not be the best money spent for you guys, but it was super fantastic for other people that are watching. Reviews. Yeah, for other people that are watching, if Adam's workshop was really fantastic as well. And in terms of like classes that were non-keynote, non-workshop, again, Colin's class stood out. Yeah, Colin's stuff was really spot on this year. He was rocking it.
He's self-taught, right? I think he had a presentation last year that blew everybody's socks off too. That was he did Saturn in Aries last year, I want to say.
I liked his work last year too.
Amazing.
I don't know if he's self-taught. You mean like when you say self-taught, like spontaneously taught or studied books?
Like studied books, like isn't in a certification program of any kind.
But not like channeled from the ether.
Being a part of college or like.
I mean, I'm sure as we've all studied books, I don't know that I don't have enough information about him to say that he's never taken a class from another astrologer in person, but I would be surprised if he hasn't. I mean, we all like to take
at this point, maybe,
other,
but
right? Yeah,
I feel like that's what he said last year, and I don't know. It just kind of stuck.
I don't know what self-taught can mean different things to different people. Like Joseph was self-taught the Book of Mormon, right?
Right. And I suppose we're all self-taught.
What was that?
Everybody is self-taught, essentially, right? Like depending on your definition, like you said.
Yeah. I took that, Mindy, as possibly not being a part of any kind of lineage. Like I would consider myself part of the Nightlight School or others who have gone through the Kepler programs. Probably, I would take that as he didn't actually have a formal kind of school to say I'm part of that. I was taught.
Maybe. Yeah.
Which has its pros and cons.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No,
but yeah,
for sure.
my experience of his last year was amazing, so I will definitely check that one out.
Yeah. So his stuff is good. And then who else really stood out for the lectures? There's so many good ones. Kay had a really good one. Kay Taylor had a really good one on synastry.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, synastry aspects and using evolutionary paradigm. So that was really cool.
Did you get to hear? I don't even know. Did Austin Coppock and Stephen Forrest both
I
present?
didn't get to hear any of Austin, so I wasn't placed in any of Austin's stuff, so I can't personally speak to that yet until I watch the recordings. I did hear Stephen. I was in one of his, and you know, he's always great. I mean, if you like Stephen's like storytelling and narrative quality of doing stuff, like he and Rick Levine are always like kind of like you know, really fun and engaging people. So if you like their styles, absolutely it's good to get their stuff for sure. I wasn't placed in any of Rick's programs this year, but you know, he was in the audience in a few of the classes that I took, and you know, gave some really good comments in those. But I did sit in. I was on the Zoom host for one of Stephen's. That was really good. I didn't get to see any of Demetra's this year. In the previous years, I've done a lot of Demetra's, and actually, I think like a couple of the years I was like every one that she did, I was the host for it.
Wow.
So it's just kind of like how things land in terms of the room placements, but. Yeah, so if you're into any of the kind of like flagship names that definitely get their stuff for sure. But yeah, Kay stood out as a synastry, the workshops I just mentioned. And then Mark Jones on, yeah. So those, I'm just trying to think if there's any other individual classes, lectures that stood out specifically.
I heard some good reviews on Catherine Urban's solar return charts. And
yeah.
the
I
ascendant.
really like Catherine Urban. I follow her stuff online. I didn't get a chance to see any of her stuff. So, but yeah, I would imagine it's good. Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
awesome.
So that's where it's at. Anything else? Should we can want to wrap this one up and maybe.
Good. No, I think you've given a really good overview for us, Ryan. It's left me excited to go back on their website and see, maybe purchase a few of these workshops classes. So yeah, I love fresh new ideas, seeing what other astrologers are coming up with, you know. Yeah, so I really appreciate that. Mindy, did you have anything before we wrap up? Anything to say?
Oh, I just agree with you. I think it'll be fun to go and look through the catalog and find those things that are zingers. You know, I think that's one of the cool things about it. It seems intimidating to think of astrologers teaching astrologers, right? Like you've got Rick Levine sitting in the audience, or, you know, like that's going to be intimidating, but it's exciting to think of all of the different topics. So whatever it is that does spark for you, just like you were saying with Cameron, like you're going to find something, you know, whatever is really singing to your own soul, you can go deeper down the rabbit hole because there's so much that is represented. So I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. If you guys are curious to hear or see more of what we do, you can check out, connect with us. The link will be in the bio. And yeah, until next time.